let's open the window, the door. Can you open the door for me, please? Can you open the door for me? Thank you. He opened the door for me. Anyways, this message, I think, this video, I'm just saying. What I'm here, man? I'm disturb my background. Yeah, this, as I've shared a tweet, because I know these people and how they even, one of them shared me that that was one of the reasons for whatever happened, for whatever relationship, and I'm not going to go there. That's their business, not mine to share. But this is something I've discussed with this person who's even disturbing my background. It's priorities. Before we go there, I'm going to first state that I heard someone, a pastor, mention that we shouldn't be having priorities. We should have a priority, and that is God. I respect that statement. I agree with that statement. I'm not here to challenge that statement. Not at all. But I'm talking about the level of importance we put on things, especially when they're asked to sacrifices, right? And that's where I'm talking about priorities. And here's what I think. Let's talk about what I think priorities should entail, or what I have for myself. So, of course, number one priority is God. Then, for me, it's me. Then, when the time comes, so God saying I have one, a spouse, the husband, then the children, that's for me, then work and, well, family, then work, then everyone else. Yeah, but then the after the first four, everything kind of changes, depends on, things. Still, everything is still relative. So it's not, doesn't mean that I'm going to ignore my husband and just pray all day. Even building a relationship with my husband is supposed to take me closer to God. My relationship with my children is supposed to also take me closer to God. So this is not about ignoring God or whatever, or ignoring anybody. It's about, okay, we have a situation right now. What should I prioritize, right? And so I've heard people say, God, then their spouse, then them. If you feel that's for you, cool. Then I've heard, the first two, God, then themselves, then their spouse. No, then I've heard people say, like the person in the background, children over their partners or spouse. And I was like, we will talk about that. And then, or work or school above spouse or whatever, because in their mind it's like, well, money gotta make them spouse and so on are going to use the money. Or like, for example, the children over the spouse, the children are my blood. They are not, my spouse or partner is not my blood. We'll discuss that a little bit about, like, I have some pointers I think would be helpful to men. So let's start with one of the things I think is not necessarily a good idea, but if you want to do it still, it's up to you. God, then you put your spouse over yourself. Let's put it this way. When you're in a plane, if you have ever traveled before, the training is put the mask over your face before you attempt to help another person. Here is the case. Yes, you care and love about your partner or your spouse. However, if you are sick and in a hospital or deathbed or whatever, how are you going to be able to care for them? Like, remember that. So if you neglect yourself trying to care for everyone else, when you're sick, how you're gonna do that? First is care for yourself so you can be able to get it. Yeah. So if that means, hey, tell the spouse or children or whoever, I need a moment for myself so I can recoup my thoughts, so I can de-stress, so I can bathe, so I can whatever else needs to be done by that person. just for themselves, even if it's just for a walk, to go out and do something that rejuvenate them, whatever it is. This way, then they can pour it into their spouse and their children, which we'll go into next. Yes, most times, other than adopted children or yada yada yada, children are your blood, and your spouse and partner shouldn't be related to you. If they are, that's your business, not mine. But let's go back to the standard, I believe. Yes, your children are your blood, and they should be taken care of. However, let's put it this way: your children are not necessarily yours. And we're not even just talking about the fact that God gives you them to steward. We're talking the fact that they are their own person, even as a child. And as much as some toxic traditions include demanding children to stop what they're doing to cater to what you ask, that I think is very toxic. And I'm trying to break within myself too. Children are going to have their own time when they want to do whatever. So when you now pouring everything into the child over the spouse or partner, because that's where you're like, you God, then we're assuming you put God first. But it's, let's work with that. God, you, then your child over your partner and spouse. Let's see. Your child did not commit to you. Did not say, I promise, or I will be in this relationship with you, which is a commitment. The child was just born, and they're like, I'm going to discover the world. I might just don't like you, their parent, and they might just want to move away. They might just say the words, I hate you. If you now depend on all aspects of emotional dependency or every other levels of it onto that child, you're removing their free will, especially if you demand it, to be human and live their individual, unique lives. Like, think about yourselves as an adult who, even with children, yes, some of y'all are like, yo, I owe my mom and my dad a lot. Are you going to move back into that house and cater to all of them, or move them back into your house, prioritize your parent over your partner and children? Yeah, because you're your own person. Your child is their own person, even as a child. They could be, so you could be like, hey, I would love a little hug and feelings and those affection. And your child's like, I want to play a video game right now. Bruh. They should be freely given that option. They didn't make no commitment to you. They can come at some point and be like, hey, Dad, hey, Mom. Which you could have the opportunity now to take it or not. But I'm not saying to have time for them. But I'm saying you shouldn't demand things that technically your partner agreed to give to you. And let's put it this way. Imagine, even if it's not just those emotional stuff, just pouring into them from gifts, time, effort, everything. And you do that from their 0 to 18 to 25. Say that's when they leave home and get married and move off to wherever around the world, or just whatever it is, their unique life, their own life they live. And that time you pour into that child only. And you have a partner that's been with you through it out. And say now that partner prioritize things differently and pour into you as well as the child. That person doesn't get anything from you, or barely much from you. And when now you are left by yourself because you pour everything into the child and get some back, you're now looking to the partner like, hey, and the partner is like, I don't really know you, and I've already compartmentalized you as such. I'm not open for anything more because you're used to whatever. Now you have to rebuild or accept what is less than what you could have gotten if you just put a little more in a partner. That maybe if you guys are on the same page, if you pour into each other a lot, you will eventually pour into the child. I'm not saying to neglect the child. I'm saying pour into the partner that agreed to be there with you before you pour into the child. Like, because I'm pretty sure if you choose somebody who wants to pour into the child too, they're not going to be like, okay, let's pour into the child. They're not going to just say, me and you only. That child is just, no. Plus, when you're exhausted, you need the person take a hand. Like, bruh, that's, yes, your child is your blood, but they are their own person. They're gonna live their own life, and if they chose to not like you, you can't cuss them out and whatever, because at the end of the day, they will be adults and they will have their own life. Even if it's linked to you, it will be still their own. There is this one, and I'm not throwing shade, but I hope the people I want to hear this part hears it. Work and school and those type of things that brings you money, opportunity, and things are good. And I'm not saying you should not work at all. Just look at your spouse and be there for every beck and call. Obviously, if you get a good person that is not overbearing and that understands that, hey, these things are important, because I'm not saying they're not important. Understand these are important, will understand that you'll be busy, may even assist you with these things, and will understand that they cannot call and expect things to be dropped at the minute. But let's put a scenario. Imagine your marriage is breaking apart. Like, you have an argument the night, and or not just an argument, just things are derailing for a while, and your work is regular or needs you, or it's just, you need to go to work. Here's the thing: if you say, you know what, husband or wife, I'm going to work, we'll do this another time, and work asks you to be a little bit more busy, a little bit more time, whatever it is, say that marriage breaks apart. And the reason it did is because you weren't there to fix it. You know what? In a couple years, COVID happens, and this shocker affects so many people, where normally you think your work is there forever. Forever. It's like it's something people needs every day. Like, the world is not gonna stop in a moment and just not need this for months. So this is gonna exist forever. My job is dependable. COVID, and something happens, or they downsize, which is not as often until COVID happens. So many people look on the outside and be like, yo, that's rough. They lay off so many people. That ain't happening to me. COVID. Wow. So now people, I think, are now can see how a lot of things that seem so far away can happen because of COVID to them. Your job is not going to look at you and say, yo, he sacrificed his marriage to be here. Your workplace is not going to, frankly, if you ask for some time off, they can get someone else to replace you many times within a day or a week or whatever time. They can find replacements. Can you replace your spouse that easily? And people who have it like that can say yes. And maybe that's not necessarily because you prioritize that marriage, you went into that marriage for the right things. Because if you did, that spouse should be irreplaceable, because you looked and chose well someone who fits what you desire for your future. So if you didn't, then that's a story for another day. But do you get the point? here's the thing too. Money, if it's like, oh, I need to make money somehow, I can have all the things. Many times they prefer your presence over presence. And even if that person is a gift, what's the love language? Gift giver, whatever the gift one is. Um, Receiving gifts, yes. I remember reading it, and it says when you put thought into it, so you have to take time to put into it. So asking somebody else to buy a quick thing, yeah, they like it, but if they realize you chose the favorite color with their favorite flower with their favorite this and made it a whole thing, that will feel more love than, oh, I made sure you could buy what you want. Like, at the end of your life, you get the money, but do you know your partner? Do you have a partner? Do you have somebody to experience life with? Yes, I'm not saying marriage is perfect, but I'm just saying priorities. Oh, let's talk about school. School for a minute. There are very few moments where grade is important in real life. Grade is important in school, and in some cases, like you're going back to school, grade helps you get to a different school, and grades help you get maybe a specific job that requires you to know the knowledge or be an expert in it. So I'm excluding those jobs and those scenarios in when I'm speaking. However, when you reach the real world, you having the 100%, 97% A plus, GPA 4.0 doesn't matter in the real world. I know people who left university with 4.0s and don't really go in their field. And their field didn't ask for what your GPA was. You can go in the interview and say, my GPA was like, okay, cool. Can you do the work? Many people who get the jobs over them is the people who don't even have a degree but have experience in the work. So let's put another scenario. You have schoolwork. You may fail the course. That's one course that fine, it's going to cost you more. It's going to mean an extra time. It may mean you have to do over something else. If you put a little more time in a spouse or partner that need you for a second, whether it's sickness, emotional stress, or just to repair the relationship. For someone who you're married to or you see forever with, that moment could seal forever. That you sacrificed getting that A plus because you might get a B or have to fail the whole course and do it over. I would say fine because the life partner is secure for that moment you took the time out to do whatever to fix. However, if you decide, no, I'm not going to deal with this because I have schoolwork, and you get your A plus and you get your summa cum laude, that person may just leave you. And that person you may not see ever again. You may marry someone else or never. And after you get summa cum laude, you walk down with the tassel and everything, tackling life with not who you want to tackle life with. Like, life is more than grades and money. Like, if you just took that moment, that maybe that partner would be willing to say, hey, let me help you study so that, we took the time and we fixed whatever. Let me help you study. Let me make sure cater to make sure you're good because I know this is, help in the long run. And, I care or they care or, that is what it could be. And I'm not talking about our relationship because sometimes some people are conniving and they do not care and they stir up problems just to ruin your progress in life. However, having to extend your years you're in school so you because you want to fix your marriage, gives you a lifestyle, versus, okay, I finished school early and tackling life by yourself or without the person you want to tackle it with. These are just thoughts that I've thought about sharing before, especially towards certain person or set of persons. But I'm just gonna upload this video without any like indication I'm uploading it, because because it's just something I thought of and I wanted to share, and I've discussed this with other people, and I wanted to bring some perspective that I think could help people. And so even when I'm gone, because I'm still planning to leave, you can benefit from it. Because it's a good perspective in my opinion. I remember talking to somebody who was like, yeah, my child is my blood, and I'm like, yes, but your child is a human being with their own choices, their own life, and may not like you, and they may choose to live a different life. Your partner supposed to, because if your partner, I'm talking baby mama who you had a one night stand with, because you didn't have no agreement with. I'm talking somebody you choose to live life with, and the person agree with you, whether it's marriage or otherwise. You guys made a commitment, and we had that discussion. I think, like right now, he'll say that, yeah, my child, my blood, blah, 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 blah. But I saw it in that moment, that night. Me and him and another friend was having this discussion. The light flickered, and he's like, "Oh," and he started to consider what I was saying. And I'm not saying everybody should jump and do it, but I'm saying consider it. Not saying every partner is good either. Choose wisely. Don't look at me either, because my whole story is weird. But I'm going to fix it. But yeah, think about it.